All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here, everybody. Thanks for joining this morning. I am very excited to have our guests here today for our Morning Byte of Cyber webinar series. Today, we're going to continue our workforce development series along with UCCS, featuring Terri Johnson Akse, and who's a cyber management instructor at UCCS, and Peter Meehan, the co-founder of the Cybersecurity Workforce Alliance. They're here to talk to us about the digital wallet. Before we pass it off to the presenters, just a few Zoom reminders. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to drop them into the chat at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to get those answered as they come in. Additionally, the webinar is going to be recorded, and we'll send the link out back to everybody who registered after the webinar is over. You can also find our previous Morning Byte of Cyber webinars on our National Cybersecurity Center YouTube page as well. And with that, pleased to pass it off to our guests today. Terri and Peter, take it away.
Thank you, Jonah. My name is Terri Johnson Akse, and I am a brand new instructor of cybersecurity management at UCCS. I come to UCCS previously from Pikes Peak State College. I was the chair and of the computer networking and cybersecurity department, founding the cybersecurity degree in about 2014. I also founded the cyber club over at Pikes Peak Community College, now Pikes Peak State College, and they became a nationally recognized group, which was super awesome. I worked with Gretchen Bliss, who a lot of you might know, to obtain our Center of Academic Excellence from the NSA in 2018. And so I'm bringing all of this experience, and especially the experience in hands-on kind of work-based learning, into my new role at UCCS. So part of this experience at UCCS has been a partnership with IQ4. And so I'm happy to introduce Peter Meehan here. And Peter is the Senior Vice President, International and Partnership for IQ4 Corporation and co-founder of the Cybersecurity Workforce Alliance. Before IQ4, he founded and was chairman of Innovation and Technology in Business, which convened and ran meetings for executives in London and New York to network and solve business problems with innovation and technology. His international business development, sales, and marketing career were developed from experience at large firms such as Xerox and Oracle, and in startups and turnarounds. Peter is a frequent panelist or speaker at events such as the NICE conferences, and NICE stands for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, and also the Singapore FinTech Festival. We're excited to hear from you, Peter, so go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Well, that bio, I don't know who wrote that, but it sounds, sounds like I've been around the planet for a long time. So thank you so much for the introduction. And let me share my screen with you, because what I intend to do for the people on this session is to just run through a few slides and put things in perspective in relation to learning and employment records and digital wallets. So let's move into this. So a few years ago, I can't remember because of COVID, whether it's 4 or 5 years ago, but at Davos, there was a concern that said, look, how come in the Western world or anywhere around the world, we've got all these job vacancies, but we've got an equal number or more unemployed people? Why aren't resumes working? We really have to find a better way so that somebody can describe themselves in a way that employers actually want to describe them, and have employers and educationalists actually understand how that fits, so you can get learning pathways and actually get people into jobs. So out of that, the T3 Innovation Network was spun up, which is about 500 organizations around the world. And they started to benchmark and test wallets. And we were one of the early birds in this. And then the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board came out with this white paper, and we set about working with the National Student Clearinghouse that does academic transcripts across the USA and IBM and their blockchain to create what I'm going to demonstrate for you today. It was first shown to Ivanka Trump and the head of Lockheed, IBM, Northrop, large companies like that, and Walmart in September of 2020. So we're moving forward quite strongly with this, but I haven't got enough time to tell you about everything we're doing. Okay, so just a bit about us. We're a technology company that is focused on workforce skills management and talent development from the platforms we have. The wallet and all of everything we do is based on lifelong learning and skills capture, so that people can showcase themselves, discover pathways, and be matched or upskilled into job roles and build retention. So the other thing about us was we actually had a platform which is being used at Colorado, UCCS, for work-based learning. We built that out with NASA to inspire people into STEM. January 2015, I flew into New York, met up with the founding chief executive of IQ4, and there were 14 of us in the room, CISOs of Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, head of risk at Bank Mellon, Fidelity, Federal Reserve Bank senior examiners, and the Securities Industries Financial Market Association, and two very interesting people from the CUNY system, City New York Education. One of that person's challenges, Senior Vice President of Student Affairs, was, I've got 425,000 students asking me to help them get an internship so they can get experience. But they've applied 70 times for an internship to get experience, but they can't get an internship because guess what? They haven't got experience. So they were interested in trying out that opportunity with us for the CISOs to create content for an already proven platform. We're now over 3,250 members, put over 6,000 alumni through it. We're operating in Costa Rica, combining our courses with CompTIA for the technical side. 43% are women, but we take learners from all faculty, and more recently, we're pulling people out of the military and spouses and dependents and DEI communities and giving them a great opportunity. So that's what we're doing. At Colorado, we're working with them and been passing people through the CCAP program on this work-based learning scenario-based, where students and learners will come in, operate in a team, in a role, around a scenario, and be mentored by industry professionals every week. Such it's like 12 weeks part-time of tabletop exercises, and then they end up presenting to employers at the end, which gives them that real world experience. And that type of professional and soft skills make up 92% of hiring decision. But everything that happens in their learning and their academic transcripts and such like goes into here, into the wallet. We have integrated, in fact, we built very similar looking technology called MyHub for the National Student Clearinghouse to replace their green screen academic transcripts. Last year, they had 2.38 billion inquiries of, did John actually go to Colorado, and did he get that degree? Did he get it out of state as well? And did he get that level? So we're already ingesting military transcripts, and IBM provides the blockchain for what I'm about to show you. So the way all of this fits together in our bigger world is we have the wallet, which has a back-end application which can help education or training companies to understand whether their courses are actually meeting the job requirements in the marketplace. We also have a talent pipeline application. I'll show you some of these if we have time, but that we can provide that to employers to tap into Colorado, the state, the community colleges, or wherever to bring in talent. Talent is developed from academic courses, credentialed courses, and our experiential learning, and that all fits into a platform, enterprise platform, where we have users like JP Morgan Chase and Leidos and others using this, such that we can build a talent pipeline and feed this into enterprise. So what we're going to talk about is who benefits. It's the individual, grant funders, grantees, because data at the back of it is used for whichever purpose. Educators and trainers, so everybody gets a slice of the action here, and they can benefit. So I'll pause there for any questions before I start sharing anything else. No. Okay, so and now I'm going to show you the wallet, how it would be presented initially to a new learner or a new recipient of this wallet. So let's imagine you've got a welcome email, put in your password, and you will enter into the world of the wallet. What we have here is a welcome page, which gives an indication that we're going to cover education and experience. We're going to represent somebody's skills as professional across the top, technical on the left, and operational on the bottom for whatever job role we're looking at here. And then we're going to represent the skills here. So then it says, look, do you have a resume? In fact, we tell learners nowadays, before you start with anything, have your resume on your desktop, because the first thing we're going to do, we're going to show you this, because when they look at what is transferred into the wallet through taxonomy machine learning, they're really surprised to see themselves, never realizing they didn't have as many skills. All they've had perhaps is an hour and a half or 2 hours of resume writing. So they can actually drop in their resume or jump right in and start to build out the wallet. So I'm going to now show you, whoops, my session's expired. As they say in the best cookery programs, this is when I cooked earlier. Okay, so what we got here is my wallet, which is a sandbox. It's not really my wallet, but I hope you get the picture. This is my profile, and I can build it out. My skills, which we can explore and add to at any time. My career pathways, which tells me where I am, and my future role or roles I might wish to explore. Out here in the cloud, you don't see it at this stage, but we're passing jobs from the DOL one-stop and being able to put them here to map them into career pathways and pass people into roles. So let's take a look at the profile builder here. I have dropped in my document. It will pick up things like my text, and it will write a summary for me, which I can edit. It will give my LinkedIn page. By the way, I'm going to split this in 2 sections. I'm going to talk about the left-hand side, and I'm going to talk about the right-hand side. The way that this was dropped in by simply was uploading my updated resume, because I've added something and maybe I've got a new document, or I've taken additional courses and I wish to actually update this. So coming in, you can see my education. You can see that I went to Trinity College, Dublin. I can edit this, delete it. I can add another record, which says I was at University of Colorado or the NCC or in Denver or wherever I was. I took this particular course over this time. I can add that into my portfolio. The portfolio comes with the ability to add another portfolio item. So what I have here is perhaps a certificate that relates to a course I've taken or an achievement I've made in a pen testing course or whatever it might be. But it could be, here's a video of me getting the Star of the Class award from the Vice Chancellor or whatever it might be. So you can build out this picture of a persona in the wallet, as opposed to just a CV. And we know from many, many aspects that anyone in talent acquisition, I heard the latest yesterday is they'll spend as much as 7 seconds on looking at a resume. That is the longest I've seen in about 12 months. Normally it's nanoseconds. And what our members of the CWA are telling us is they always hire from the HR reject pile, because they're looking for people with peculiar skills that lend themselves to cybersecurity. That inquisitiveness that they're looking for, and what you're going to see represented here, is really what they're looking for. So let's go back to education, and this takes in some of my experience, and I can go in and look at my experience. So what we have here is a variety of roles throughout my career. So this is somewhat like LinkedIn on steroids. And again, I can add another portfolio item or add more details. Once that's composed, we then can look at skills. So these are my skills that have been ingested. And this is the top level of the NICE taxonomy skill for asset inventory. Down here, you can see 15 skills at a glance, 12 technical, 1 professional, 2 operational. Look at my top 10 skills. I can also look at my T-shape, which I will show you in a moment. It also says to me, based on what you have input to this, you may well have experience in business continuity or data management, and I can add them and then start to fill them out. So just to go back to the profile and show you the representation here, here are all the different roles in this particular sandbox for the NICE framework: enterprise architect, data analyst, and so on. Or can also look at, say, a network operations specialist, and you'll see that these change. These are the skills that I have. These are the skills that I need to actually improve my position and upskill. Over here, you can see where I can take these courses. And because we're working with Colorado, you can see it's already got courses in there as part of the catalog where people can actually make their progression to improve their performance and opportunity for a job. So back to skills. When we go through the skills, you see in asset management, for example, these are the KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities that come from the NICE taxonomy. We've been mastering the NICE taxonomy since we were asked by NICE to look after it and expand it across the whole of the private sector since 2015. We have a proficiency rating ability here from novice through to expert. And when I look at this, this could be my resume. If I have knowledge or competencies that have come in from UCCS, for example, that might be a badged environment, and that would be listed here, and that would be added to this particular way of representing it. You can see computer forensics, and I've got some knowledge, some skills and abilities, and I can always add to this because I might well take another course, whether it's part-time, whether it's full-time or whatever. I can go through things such as information assurance and build this up. The key to this, though, is once you have these in, and bear in mind, we start with students and they tend to start their program by being inspired by what they see, and they can't wait to finish a course till they can add more skills. What the idea really is to actually bring them through such that they can then explore career pathways. So because this is data driven, the system will actually curate what it thinks is based on the skills that I've input to the platform is what might be a good career pathway opportunity for me. So I've already added database administrator, but I could also perhaps become a partner integration planner or an executive cyber leadership, because quite frankly, that fictitious CV that I loaded is from somebody that we're actually is interested in buying this. We were showing that person as an example, but we can look into each one of these. For example, in this, I can discover what it is about this particular role. I can add it to my pathway. I'd say, yes, I want to go into that. Privacy, want to go there. What are the core tasks for this role? These are taken from the NIST environment. They can also be taken from an employer's environment as well. We can see the skills overlap. In this case, I'm just exploring, okay? I have recently joined a cyber pathway, but if I want to find out what I need to do, it tells me that data privacy protection is needed. So I can look at this as an operational skill. I can add this skill because I've said I've just taken a course on this, and I can continue to fulfill this and add to it at any particular time. When I come down here, I can look and I can see that I don't have as many skills. So maybe I actually want to go back and I want to actually look at the database administrator. So let's go and look at this. Again, I've got a description with the view of the core tasks. I'm a little bit stronger in this, but what we have is the ability to search by jobs that we've been looking at within the state. So then I can look at these things and I can see Jack Henry has a job here and Cognizant has a job here. And then we can actually go out to the job boards And we've been doing this with University of Cincinnati for about a year. But what they can do from this point, the learner can actually connect here and go into the job application. I'll pause there. Any questions?
Peter, I got one question coming in here. Question about what does this cost anything for a candidate, for a potential employee? If they're uploading their resume and documents and everything?
No, this is lifetime free license. It's licensed, but it's lifetime free for any learner, because this is meant to be as intended from the Economic Development Board and everything around the T3 initiative. End user in our world, it's free for life, because we want to encourage you to actually keep this up to date. Where we actually make our money on this and cover our costs is in the back end applications. For example, we have a Compass dashboard, which I will share. Am I sharing a screen which it says Compass at the top left?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. So this is Western Governors Union, but they were one of the organizations helped us develop this with National Student Clearinghouse. They've recently acquired 150,000 of these for their current cohort joining in September. They're looking at 300,000 for the previous year or two, such because they actually want to build the data about knowledge of where are my people going upon the success. Now, in their use case, which was actually built in Idaho under what's called the Idaho Wallet for the governor, we focused on healthcare. So in this demo, you can see that all work roles cover medical assistants and pharma. Down here, you'll see these change. If I change up, and I have timed out because it's been waiting for me to come back. Here, think of this as an academic institution I'm doing medical terminology or introduction to biology and pharmaceutical. It tells me where the achievements are aligned to that, which is in other words, their courses and the associated skills that come with the learning outcomes of those courses. The thing here is we did this with Cincinnati as well. We worked with them, and within 2 weeks, we could map their learning outcomes from their courses against the job roles which are actually open in the market. What actually happened then was they could see that they were not meeting the learning outcomes that employers actually wanted to hire, largely because academia sets up a course, takes 2 years to get it. They get the first cohort in they run it for 3 years, and it's all moved on. So within 2 weeks, they were able to pivot, and then they were able to even bring in or change some of the adjuncts to train the additional things. So this is where we make the money, and this is where we can look at our students. We can look at the achievements, and we can drill into these people by work role and such like. And it really just helps the different people come through. The other application we have is this, and this is provided to employers. So imagine I'm an employer that I've got all these different open positions this year, 100, 200 for next year. Where's my coverage? I can actually search. I can find out what my top roles are, what my in-demand roles are, and where my top resources are. And this could even be my top resources are I hire from NCC, Denver, University of Cincinnati, wherever it is, that's sources. I can look and search for this. So let's say I'm looking for a software developer. I can then look at this by user pathways. I'll select them all. I can look for them by my managers, select them all. I can look for them by location and so on, and by credentials. Okay, just for the sake of this, I'll select them all. And then I'll submit. And then guess what? In the demo, oh, right, it'll say, I'm going to take out my internal. And guess what? In the demo, it doesn't work. Okay, so this is, we can't show you live real world stuff from a customer, but what would happen here is it would list those people and then they'd be able to move them across to a short list, and you can click on them, you can look at their wallet details, what skills they have, what experience they have, where they got that experience, and then you can shortlist them, or you can hit the button and invite them in for an interview. Any questions?
I've got a question for you, Peter. So talk to me a little bit about the, I know you're working with in Colorado here. Have you run any other pilots or programs in any other states? Tell me a little bit more about, you know, the experience of using this wallet. Any other kind of case studies?
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. Well, bear in mind that we've evolved over the last year or so, and we first showed this to the White House in 2020, and we then started to do pilots in North Dakota, which is particularly about moving military transitions from mil gears into the North Dakota intra-state wallet, which is building out education competency levels. Like, you do this, you do that, you do that, you get that competency. So our engines are being used in the background with that, because this is an interoperable wallet. So that's one case. The use case in Idaho is we took 8,000 rich skills descriptors in healthcare, turned them into taxonomy, showed the governor and co what we were doing in cyber, and compared that to what he wanted in healthcare. He's now adding cybersecurity and IT. But by the way, in our enterprise application, we've got over 175 roles in across IT, critical infrastructure and infrastructure, as well as the 52 from NIST and cyber. So that's one. We are a component of the statewide initiative, which is called the Cyber Hub in Connecticut, which is again sponsored by the governor. Because I'll say governor, because the T3 initiative, the administration, economic development corporations want adoption of wallets, and we are dealing with 9 at the moment in one particular program for the wider adoption of the wallet. One of them is Connecticut, which has already chosen it, and our experiential learning on cybersecurity. It could be because the CISO is one of our advisory board leaders, but the governor's behind it. We're assembling 200 employers in the state. That's progressing very well. And every one of those learners who will come from any of the academic institutions, whether it's community college and universities across the state, will have a wallet. We are handing these out to the military people that we're converting across there. Last night I was on calls with Florida. Virginia looks like they're going to come in this direction. So it's early days for the wallet, but this by far is the most comprehensive on the market. It's very focused on cyber, at what you've seen, but it's backed by IBM for the blockchain and the National Student Clearinghouse, where we can ingest transcripts, and we can ingest military transcripts. We can take badging from Credly or any other badging source, and we can export badges to other things as well.
So if I'm a student and I'm really interested in this, is there a place I can sign up for this right now?
No, we're not B2C at the moment, because you can imagine we'd have people from all over the world coming to this, which is why we like to work in a program, perhaps with yourself, such that we could say, okay, let's start one of our experiential learning courses, as you, Julie, and I have discussed. And then, okay, the natural outcome of this is the wallet. In fact, the platform you have been using has a predecessor of the wallet. It was called the Passport, because it was like the passport of the future that captured things, but not as sophisticated as this. So we work with organizations. In fact, just before I came onto this, I was on a call with somebody in New Jersey, and we're going to put something, I'm going to pilot in for them for 300. Yesterday I spoke with a university that's got 10 institutions in the consortium under the CAE NSA banner, and they're very, very keen on the wallet because it's all about workforce development for them. Up in the Northwest, there are 5 states under the NSA program focused on critical infrastructure. We've worked with the PI up there before, and she worked with us when we put our apprenticeship program through, and T-Mobile worked with her university to actually do a virtual co-op and then take people into apprenticeships. Those 5 states are focused on behalf of the NSA and critical infrastructure and protection, basically because they know the Chinese and the Russians are in every power plant across the USA already. But we need to build resilience. But the guy that's running that was formerly Bill Gates' right-hand man for building the Microsoft University. He's built out the program, and the center of that is the wallet, because the center is the person. If you're going to train that person to have the competency to do those things to give you that protection, you need to focus on the person, and then you can blend that person with the jobs and also the learning pathways and the learning outcomes from the different campuses.
And you mentioned the NICE taxonomy. Just in case there are some folks on who don't know what that is, can you expand on that just a bit?
Absolutely. There are multiple taxonomies in the market. There's one called ONET. There's several others, OPM, that there's a way of breaking down knowledge, skills, abilities, or competency levels actually required to undertake a task or a role. If you compile several of them into a role profile, such as we have here, I need to understand operating systems. I need to understand data management and so on. When we go in and we look at those under the skills, you can see in computer forensics, for example, this is the taxonomy, knowledge of how to extract and analyze. NICE has spent 12 years or more working with industry and academia to extend this taxonomy so that we can keep a pace of the job role profiles. So in our system, we've got over 100,000 KSAs, but we've also got turnkey job role profiles from our experience in working with employers, which can be taken and just tweaked to actually what you want. When we use this in education, we don't have all of these for someone coming through on their first course. You know, they're in an undergraduate, so we only expect them to have 10 key areas that actually helps them, and that is 10 hard skill areas, 10 soft skill areas. And guess what? It always comes down to communication, professionalism, and such like in that, the soft skills. Critical thinking, the other one.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that both at UCCS and at Pikes Peak, that soft skills are huge. Are there any other questions for Peter?
Just on the soft skills, when we first got hold of this in the first year, we found that, for example, there were no soft skills. There's 77 in the platform now, based on standards in the market. There was, because the NICE taxonomy was coming from government, no one was allowed a mobile phone. They had no mobile phones on it. But then when we work with the Federal Communications Commission, people have forgotten about skills around microwave transmission and submarine cables. So there were backdoors all over the place. But, you know, this is a moving feast, and, you know, we're glad to be part of the NICE community.
I'll give it one more call for any questions here from anyone in the audience. Use the chat down at the bottom of your screen if you have any questions. Looks like we got one here.
Question. I'm not sure I fully understood. If we have students or organizations that are interested in using platform, what steps we need a conversation between whomever to actually understand how many wallets you want, what you want it for, whether we got the skills coverage, and then it's just we end up in agreement. You know, like I said, today we were talking to somebody that got 325 members in their professional body in that particular chapter, in that particular location. The night before last, I was speaking with someone who's got 3 million people on their training database that they don't know what skills they've got and they don't know what to sell them next. So, or what to train them next, what pathways to give them next. So we just need that conversation, Rachel. If you want to contact me, peter@iq4.com, happy to have that conversation.
So those next steps would be to contact you.
If anybody wants, yeah, look, the thing about this is everything that we have done in every one of our platforms and building the Cybersecurity Workforce Alliance has never been done before. But it's only, we've only built these things by talking to people and say, and they say, I would be able to use it if it did this. And that's what you now see in front of you. It's just been that thing. And that's one thing about our chief executive. He's a 3 times done it before entrepreneur, and he's always built things for Wall Street or whatever, because he cleverly went in and said, I've been thinking about this problem. Do you think you could help me define it? And then he go back and he said, do you think you could be part of my advisory board? Oh, do you think we can help me pilot it? Well, guess what? They're going to be his first customers. You know, it's just a clever way of working.
We'll give it one more call for questions here. And I'll start to wrap it up. Terry and Peter, thank you both for your time today. Much appreciated. Hopping on the Morning Byte of Cyber webinar series. Just as another reminder for everybody, we did record this webinar and we'll be uploading it to our YouTube page on the National Cybersecurity Center YouTube page later on. We'll send it back out to all the registrants as well. We'd love to see you at our next Morning Byte of Cyber webinar series. We run these the 3rd and 4th Thursday of every month. So looking forward to seeing you back on here in the future. And looks like no other questions are coming in. So we'll close out here. Thank you everyone for your time, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye-bye.